without further ado, I want to introduce to you my guest who has been patiently waiting, right? Who has been patiently waiting for us, Miss Dina Bilbrough. And let me just tell you, Miss Bilbrough is more than a jack of all trades. She's got a lot going on. And you too are going to want to know who she is, because she's a career and life coach. She helps with the resumes and your bio. She's a personal brand strategist, content editor, motivational speaker and trainer. And guess what she launched? From Dina's Desk. Now, we've been on that Clubhouse together, and I'm happy to know her, and I want you all to get to know her, because I haven't told you all yet, but we are building out this Monday, Wednesday, Friday venture here on live on WLF Live, and Dina is going to make a regular appearance. So I'm happy to have her. I'm happy to introduce to you Miss Dina Bilbrough.
Hi, Colette. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Hi, I'm so happy to have you here today. I'm excited, and I want to tell the viewing audience a little bit about you. It says here on LinkedIn, and that's where you can find her. If you want to tag her, you can find her on LinkedIn. It says, I'm a career and life coach who is truly passionate about helping people get from where they are to where they want to be. Now, if you don't know anything about life coaches, that's the kind of life coach that you want. Not the kind of coach that's going to tell you where you should go, but it's the one that is going to help you grow and go to where you want to be. And so, Miss Bilbrough, Miss Dina Bilbrough, tell us some more about yourself, because I just read one line from the many things that you do. Tell us some more about yourself.
Well, sure. Well, as you said before, I am a career and life coach, and I kind of stumbled into this work. I went to college and I got a degree like I was told that I should, to have a great life and a great career. And I thought I was going to work in that particular space for, the rest of my life and retire and live happily ever after. But as you know, life doesn't always work like that. There are, different turns in life. And I've taken several turns that kind of landed me into this space. And I found that it's something that I really, really enjoy and something I'm really passionate about. And some of the different turns in my life have been voluntary and some involuntary, but that's really what gives me the passion and the drive to be able to help other people, because I can relate to a lot of people. I can understand, the disappointment sometimes when things don't work out. I can understand doing a job for 20 years because that's what you went to college for, and now you want to live your life and do what you really want to do. I can understand when, you have certain disappointments in life and it really didn't turn out the way you want, and how you can pick yourself back up and you can reinvent yourself. I like to also call myself the reinvention queen too. So I need to my profile, but just being able to reinvent yourself, being able to pick yourself back up and just be able to get yourself along the path that you want to be on.
Okay. So, when we put out in social media what we were going to talk about today, because I'm anxious to talk about, because I got questions. Okay. Personal branding. Now, I am old school. When I talk about branding, I was a marketing major. We only talked about companies, right? We talked about the big boys. And every company has a brand. What is a personal brand? Well,
to make it very simple, your personal brand is really just your reputation. It's just the way you show up time and time again that makes a reputation for yourself. And it's a way you communicate your unique value. It's a way you let people know who you are, what you do, and how you do it uniquely. And it's the way you package yourself and it's the way you market yourself so that every time someone has an interaction with you, whenever someone comes across you, they know this is the type of person that I'm going to get. When I interact with Colette, I know I'm going to get X, Y, and Z. When I interact with Dina, I know she's always going to show up this particular way. So I think sometimes we oversimplify things. So just or we make it too difficult. So just to simplify it, it's really just your reputation. It's the way you package yourself and the way you market yourself to tell people who you are and what you do.
Okay, so I've heard a lot of people on their jobs say, this is who I am. You know, this is, they don't even like me. This is who I am. Okay, talk about that just a little bit. You know, you said the word reputation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we also often have to examine that reputation. Because sometimes we're not who we think we are. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think that's true. I think that, sometimes it requires a little bit of balance. And sometimes, you may have to get other people to help you identify your personal brand, right? Sometimes you may have to go to somebody and you may have to ask them, what do you see me? How do you see me? What are some of the things that you think that I'm good at? Because a lot of times, we don't really know how to examine ourselves. And then whenever we do examine ourselves, we don't know how to brag on ourselves because we've been told that we need to be humble. We've been told, you shouldn't brag on yourself, don't talk about yourself. But, when it comes to your personal brand, that is when it's a time to brag on yourself. It's okay to say, these are the things that I'm good at. These are the things that I bring to the table. These are my areas of expertise. So if you're having difficulty figuring that out, sometimes you can ask somebody, that's definitely what I'm here for, to kind of help you navigate through that. Or if there's someone, in your circle, maybe you have a mentor. And there are all kind of assessments out there that can kind of help you with those strengths and help you figure out what your personal brand is and what you bring to the table.
What are some of the things that comprise a personal brand? When you, like, if I'm sitting back, okay, and I'm trying to think of who am I? What am I? What should I be? What are some of the things that comprise a personal brand?
Well, when you think about your personal brand, you can break it down into 3 different parts. You can think about it first of what do you do? What is it that you do, right? And then the second part would be, who do you do it for? Who are the people that you serve? And then thirdly, how do you do it uniquely? So for someone like myself, what I do is career coaching and life coaching. That's what I do. And who do I do it for? I do it for people who are stuck, people who maybe need a plan, people who need a thought partner, and people who need help getting from where they are to where they want to be. And how do I do it uniquely? I do it by helping them to reinvent themselves. I do it by helping them change their mindset. I do it by helping them know that it's okay to brag on yourself. So if you put those 3 things together, that's my personal brand, a career and life coach who helps people who feel stuck and need a plan by helping them to change their mindset, see themselves more positively, and then reinvent themselves to get to from where they are to where they want to be. So just breaking it down into those 3 components, I think helps you come up with your personal brand.
Okay, so we have somebody in the chat who says, how you see yourself versus how others see you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, you have even your friends come and say, well, I think you are this, or I think it's this. How much weight do you give to that?
I think you can give a little bit of weight to it. I mean, I think you know yourself best, because of course, you're with yourself 24 hours a day, right? So you know yourself best. You know what your intentions are. You know genuinely who you are. So I think you can put a little bit of weight on that. Definitely, if you're hearing the same thing over and over, if you're asking several people and they're telling you over and over, you know what, you're really good at leadership. You're really good at public speaking. You're really good at organizing people. You have a way with words. You're good at communicating. You can kind of incorporate that into it. And then, kind of incorporate that into, how you feel about yourself, what, you bring to the table and what, you enjoy doing. So I think there's a healthy balance between, how you feel your personal brand is and what you feel you bring to the table and what other people say as well. When we were talking about Clubhouse, you also made mention of your performance review or the assessments.
And I'm talking about in terms of, you know, the working people who get these annually, or they get a mid-year and annual review, and you see certain things and categories that are on there. Is that something that you could use? And how do you use it?
Certainly, you can use that, because that's going to be definitely some external feedback that you can get, you can incorporate into that. And certainly, if you're seeing that you are being rated high in certain areas, and that's the way your supervisor or maybe your team members see you, then you certainly can use that. So I definitely think that's something to take into consideration. Look at the feedback, look at, the areas that you score high in, and you can definitely incorporate that. Absolutely.
So, okay, so since I talked about the job, how can you use your personal brand in your job or on your job?
Well, you can use that as a way to really make a name for yourself. When it comes to working on teams and working in a partnership, or really even trying to get in a promotion, trying to advance. If you've established a personal brand for yourself, then you may be that go-to person. They're going to say, I know Colette is someone that's always on time. She's dependable. She's good at leadership. So I want her to be over this project. Or I know I need to bring her to the table when it's time to have this conversation. And so you can, definitely use it in that regard. And then when it comes to maybe a promotion, because you have a strong personal brand, because you have been consistent, someone may say, when it's time to start this new team, or whenever, it's time to put someone in charge, we want to put Colette in charge because of what she's shown us. So it can definitely help you in your job to become that go-to person, to be that subject matter expert, to have a seat at the table because they value what you bring to the table, and to also prepare you for leadership positions.
So I was thinking about sometimes when I'm scrolling in social media, and you see the business page, and then you see the person, and it doesn't seem to be aligned. In my head, it doesn't seem to align. Can you give us some advice on that?
Well, it's perfectly okay, because that's why it's a business page and that's why it's a personal page. So your personal page is just that. It's more personal. It might be you on the weekends. It might be you with your family and friends, some of the hobbies that you have and some of the things that you enjoy in your personal time. But then when it comes to your business, ultimately you're in business because you want to make a profit. You're trying to solve a problem for your customers. So then you definitely want to position yourself and you want to show up a particular way. So it's okay for them to be separate. It's okay for them to be, different. And then sometimes they may intertwine, because I think that in my instance, I think it's pretty much the same, just being a person that gives advice personally and professionally. So it's quite okay. It's okay if they're different, and it's okay if they're the same. Just want to make sure that you make that decision for yourself.
So, okay, your personal brand, does it show up? Should your personal brand show up in your resume?
Absolutely. Your personal brand should be the same across whatever platform or wherever someone finds you. So if they see you in person and they have a conversation with you, you want to have a brand. They should see and feel that same energy if they're looking at your resume. So if you're a superstar in person, when they meet you in the interview or a networking event, when they look at your resume, it should be the same. They should get that same feel. If they're looking at your LinkedIn profile, if they're looking at another online portfolio, your business page, they should get that same thing. And then certainly when you come in for the interview, and then whenever you show up for the job, it should all be the same across platforms. You don't want to be a particular person, on paper, and then they meet you, and then you're not the same. So definitely want to make sure that they're the same across platforms.
How can someone gain strength in their personal brand? How do they gain strength in their personal brand?
Well, kind of what I just mentioned, being consistent so that no matter where someone finds you, you're always the same. Being mindful how you show up every single day, every single time, so that, you become consistent and you're not one way somewhere and then they see you somewhere else and you're somewhere different. And then also just, by upskilling, continuing to increase your skills and your knowledge so that you are continually adding to that personal brand and you are getting better and better and making it, stronger. So just being mindful of how you show up, being consistent, and then just making sure that, you are continually increasing in your knowledge and your skills.
You've said a lot of positive words regarding personal brand. Is there any downside?
Probably the only downside is whenever you aren't consistent with your personal brand. You know, definitely if you've made a name for yourself and your reputation precedes you, and then someone actually beats you, and then it's like, okay, wait, what happened? This is not what I was thinking. Or like I said, if someone, you know, sees your resume or sees you online, and then they bring you in for an interview, and then you're not the same, they're definitely, you know, going to be disappointed. So the only downside is that, you know, if it's not consistent. But the beauty of the personal brand is, you know, you can change it whenever you want. You can, like you said, strengthen it, or you can change it, make adjustments to it whatever you want. So if you decide that, you know, you want it to be a particular way, and then after, you know, so many years or something, you want to rebrand yourself, like I've done so many times, it's perfectly okay. That's the beauty of it. You can make your personal brand be whatever you want.
Would you say that you have to? Okay, so I hear you. You said it a couple times, like that reinvention thing. So when you say that, and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong. When you say that, I think people. Okay, first of all, again, I'm old school, so I think of Madonna. Okay, reinventing herself over and over and over again. That's Madonna. Mm-hmm. But she sticks with it, and so you have to make sure that what you've decided is that you're consistent. Do you know what I mean? That you can't just all of a sudden wake up and say, hey, I'm going to be this. You can't. There has to be some thought into it. Would you agree?
Well, it depends. Again, this is your own individual thing. So when I specifically talk about myself rebranding, I started off in computer science, and then I went into retail management, and then I went into career services, and now I'm in being a life coach. So I've rebranded myself several times, and I really kind of, you know, took a different turn each time. But at the core, I'm still someone that likes to help people. I'm still someone that's, you know, kind of in a leadership position, still someone that, you know, provides guidance for other people. So you can kind of figure out what that core is, and you can kind of branch off into what your personal brand is. Like Madonna, at her core, she's still Madonna. She's still an entertainer.
Okay. and that's why I guess, yes. And that's what I guess I'm looking for you to, you know, to expand on, is that there is a core person.
Right.
That does not change. Your career, hopefully, you know, along the way may change depending on what career you've chosen. But the core, the essence of who you are,
right,
remains the same. Mm-hmm. So I heard you say, hey, this is who I am. I help people. I assist people. And so that core remains the same, right. But my and your value system remains the same,
right?
But other things can change.
Yes, and other things probably will change. But like you said, as long as you say that's why, you know, that personal brand is who you are. You know, and you're telling other people who you are, and you're telling them that, you know, even though I may, you know, change a little bit here and there in terms of what my job title is or what industry I am, you're still getting that same core person. You're still getting those same values. So.
Okay, so I'm gonna shift the conversation just a little bit to not just a general conversation, but just to narrow it to women. I think women have a tough time with their personal brand in the corporate world because they feel like they have to make a shift once they walk through the door. And sometimes it compromises who they actually are. What do you think?
I would agree 100%. You know, I've had this conversation with several people, is why do women sometimes have a hard time, you know, identifying with who they are. They have a hard time showing up. They have a hard time asking for the salary that they require or probably deserve. You know, we can go on and on and on, but I think it's just, naturally as who we are as women, we're just kind of used to being givers. We're used to taking care of other people and making sure everybody else is taken care of, that sometimes we neglect ourselves. So that's an unfortunate thing, and I think that that's something that probably deserves a deeper conversation as to why we do that as women.
Yeah, yeah, and I do want to have a conversation about that, because I think that women, and I'm not going to say that I haven't been a person that has been a victim of that. That that the ask is not, despite who I am, the ask is sometimes difficult. Or today I have to not be myself. I have to be somebody else in order to get what it is that I want or need, or for my team. And I'm not going to say I like that. I like that, and there are women out there who don't like it, and it makes it, and it's also exhausting, because there is a duality about it that is sometimes hard to live up to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if you could put that on our list,
okay,
to go back to, and maybe we even bring in somebody to talk to us about it, because I'm not sure what the answer is. For as long as we're reporting to somebody, and a lot of times that's what creates the entrepreneur, because they're tired of you're tired of reporting to somebody, and you want to be who you were meant to be,
right?
If you will.
You can't always do that sometimes on a job, right? Because you have to fit within their parameters. And I think that probably is what sparks a lot of people to go into entrepreneurship, because they're like, well, if I'm doing my own thing, then I can really show up the way I want. I can do things the way I want to do them. And you can't always do that,
Yeah, absolutely.